There are many designs for an aquaponics system. This method, however, has been successful for our Aquaponics 101 workshop for teachers in the Auburn University School of Fisheries, Aquaculture, and Aquatic Sciences. Using a single intermediate bulk container consisting of a large 275 to 330 gallon capacity polyethylene vessel supported by an outer metal frame is a relatively simple and inexpensive method. The other materials are generally available at most home supply or hardware stores. Once set up, these systems are simple to operate and maintain. This video presumes that you are familiar with aquaponics, particularly the ebb and flow style, also known as flood and drain, that allows plant roots to be in the water part of the time and in the air part of the time. We will demonstrate the construction of the 4 sections of the system: the fish tank, the grow bed, the bell siphon, and the plumbing required to move the water.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.
Safety always comes first. For you, the fish, and the food that you produce. It's important when building an aquaponics system that you start with a clean container. Containers made from chemical-resistant, high-density polyethylene, also known as HDPE, are the best choice. Be sure that you know what was in the container. The most desirable ones were previously used for food products. For IBCs that contain food products, clean the inside of the pieces, using dish soap is acceptable, and make sure to rinse thoroughly with a water hose or pressure washer to ensure that there is no residue from the previous cargo. For an IBC that contained chemicals, refer to the appropriate material safety data sheet. Cutting the container into 2 sections creates 1 fish tank and 1 grow bed. Cutting the cage provides the structural support for both parts. Using the Torx bit screwdriver, remove the bolts that secure the bars across the top of the container. Remove the retaining bars and separate the plastic container from the support cage. Flip the plastic inside the frame so that the top then sits at the bottom. Remove the plastic corner pieces if necessary. This allows you to use the drain at the bottom of the container to drain the fish tank. Measure a line 8 inches up from the top of the pallet. On most containers, the bottom rung of the metal cage is at 7 inches, so you want to be about an inch above that. Mark a line all the way around the plastic container. Remove the plastic container from the metal cage, drill a 1/4 inch starter hole on the line, and use the saber saw or reciprocating saw to cut along the line. It is helpful to cut along the sides first and save the corners for last. This makes it easier to handle the container. Now you have 2 pieces that comprise 1/4 and 3/4 of the original container. Use the smaller portion to grow the plants and the larger portion to house the fish. Turn the cage upright so that pallet portion is on the bottom. Cut the vertical supports just above the first rung using a saber saw or reciprocating saw with a metal cutting blade. Wear safety glasses and get a good grip on the saw. After you cut the first vertical support bar, continue cutting until the palleted portion separates from the rest of the cage. The pallet portion of the cage now supports what will become the grow bed. Using the grinder, grind down any rough edges. When operating the grinder, wear appropriate safety gear, including glasses, gloves, earplugs, and long pants and sleeves. The metal shavings can be hot and travel several feet from the work site, so be aware of your surroundings and make sure the area is clear. This is also a good time to spray the cut areas with anti-rust paint. Next, turn the larger portion of the cage over so the cut posts are toward the bottom. If the system is to be used in a classroom with a polished floor, you may want to place 2x4s under the posts so they won't scratch the floor. Place the fish tank, the larger portion of the container, into the cage. The smooth top rail of the cage should be an inch or two above the top of the fish tank. Place the grow bed portion of the plastic container onto the pallet, making it as flat as possible. If the original top opening or portion of the cap keeps the grow bed from being flat, you may want to cut out an opening in the pallet. This hole can be cut using a grinder with a cutting wheel. When operating the grinder, wear appropriate safety gear. Next, identify the lowest and flattest portion of the grow bed bottom. This is where the drain will be located. Make sure to choose a spot far enough away from the edges so that it will drain over the fish tank when the grow bed is positioned atop the tank and in a location that has a relatively clear passage to the tank below. Mark this spot and drill a 1 3/4 inch hole in the grow bed and through any metal on the pallet. Fit the 1-inch uniseal into the hole in the bottom of the grow bed tray. Cut a 10-inch piece of 1-inch PVC pipe. Lubricate the uniseal with the silicone to help the pipe slip through the hole. Push the 10-inch piece of 1-inch pipe through the uniseal, leaving about 5 inches above the bottom of the grow bed. Next, create the support that the grow bed will rest on. Place 2x4s across the top of the cage, so the ends extend several inches on each side. IBC totes come in different sizes. Our cage measures 40 inches in one direction and 48 inches in the other. If you have a different size IBC tote, you may have to adjust the lengths of the support boards. Lift the grow bed and set it on top of the supports, with the long side across the top of the cage. Maneuver the support boards to create a stable base for the grow bed. You can slide the grow bed beyond the back edge of the cage to give you more room to access the fish. Locate the standpipe that comes through the bottom of the grow bed and add a 90-degree elbow pointed toward the middle of the tank. Add a 14-inch piece of pipe to the elbow. The elbow and additional pipe create a small amount of back pressure that makes it easier for the siphon to get started once the water overflows to the grow bed standpipe. When complete, this 8-inch tall grow bed is designed to hold 6 inches of gravel or clay balls and support 20 to 35 plants depending on the spacing. The bell siphon regulates the flow of water out of the grow bed and controls the ebb and flow cycle. Start with the 4-inch pipe. This pipe is the sleeve that protects the bell siphon and keeps the grow bed media from interfering with the bell siphon action. The final length of this sleeve will be 8 inches, but we suggest that you start with a 2-foot-long section, so it will be easier to hold when cutting slits in the side. The slits will allow water to pass through the protective sleeve so it can get to the overflow pipe. Measure 4 inches up from one end of the pipe and draw a line around the pipe. Place a straight edge across the widest diameter of the pipe and make a mark on either side. Measure 2 inches on either side of the initial marks and draw a line from the bottom of the pipe up to the 4-inch marker. The distance between these two longer marks will help guide the cutting of the slits. Starting 1/2 inch from the end of the pipe at the initial mark, place dots every 1/2 inch up to the 4-inch line. Repeat this process on the opposite side. Place the handsaw on the dot at 1/2 inch and start cutting through the pipe. The goal is to cut a slit in the pipe until it reaches the lines that were placed 2 inches from the initial mark. This creates a slit that travels 1/3 the way around the pipe. The chop saw makes this process much easier. Move to the next dot up the pipe and continue this process until you have 8 slits on either side of the pipe. This should allow enough water flow through the outer sleeve to enable the bell siphon to work properly. After cutting all the slits, measure and cut the 4-inch pipe to its final length of 8 inches. Find the 4-inch end cap and drill a 1 3/8 inch hole in the center of the cap. Glue the cap on the slitted end of the 8-inch outer sleeve pipe. Slide this assembly over the 5-inch tall, 1-inch diameter standpipe drain in the grow bed, and push it down as far as possible. Get the 2-inch pipe cap and drill a 1/2 inch hole, placing the drill bit 3/4 of an inch from one edge of the cap. Cut 3 pieces of the 3/8 inch hose, one 6-inch piece, another 1.5 inches long, and the last 1 inch. On each end of the 1.5 inch hose, push one of the 90-degree barbed fittings. On the other end of one of the barbed fittings, add the 6-inch hose piece. Attach these fittings to the pipe cap by fitting the 1-inch piece of hose into the hole drilled on the top of the cap, so that it just sticks out on both the inside and the outside. Push the remaining barbed end into the hose in the hole on the top of the cap to create a seal for the air inlet system. Orient the assembly so that the 1.5 inch hose connecting the two 90-degree barbed elbows goes across the top of the cap, and the 6-inch hose hangs down on the opposite side. Locate the 6-inch piece of 2-inch PVC pipe. Make a line 1/2 inch from one end of the pipe all the way around. Using the electric drill, make 16 to 20 1/4 inch holes below the 1/2 inch line. More holes are beneficial. A drill press also optimizes this process. Place the cap assembly on the top of the 6-inch pipe to complete the bell siphon. You may want to add a rubber band or Velcro strip around the vertical pipe to secure the down-facing air inlet hose. Place the bell siphon over the standpipe in the grow bed, inside of the 4-inch protective sleeve. Because it has no moving parts, once properly fitted, this bell siphon is very reliable and requires almost no maintenance. Recycling the water is a critical component of nearly all aquaponics systems. This system depends on a pump and plumbing fittings to move the water from the fish tank up to the plant grow bed, and the bell siphon and gravity control how the water gets back to the fish tank. In most cases, cycling all of the water through the system every hour is sufficient to maintain the water quality and provide adequate nutrients to the plants. Attach 1/2 of the 1/2 inch union fitting to the 1/2 inch outlet of the pump. Using a union fitting next to the pump makes it easy to remove the pump for any maintenance that might be required. On the other half of the union fitting, attach the fitting that has 1/2 inch threads on one side and a 3/8 inch barb on the other. Next, connect the 3/8 inch flexible tubing. Attach the 6-foot piece of tubing to the barb. Using a flexible hose instead of hard piping allows more possibilities for routing the pipework to move the water from the fish tank to the grow bed. On the other end of the 3/8 inch tubing, attach a 3/8 inch barb to male threaded fitting. Screw the threaded end of the fitting onto a 1/2 inch 90-degree elbow threaded on one side and designed as a slip fitting on the other. Push a 3-inch piece of 1/2 inch diameter pipe into the slip side of the elbow. Push another 90-degree slip elbow on the other end of the 3-inch pipe and turn it downward. Add another 3-inch piece of 1/2 inch pipe and a third 90-degree elbow turned outward. Having this U-shaped configuration on the end of the grow bed water delivery system makes it possible to hang it over the side of the pre-filter you'll build next. Connect the two halves of the union fitting together next to the pump. Using a pre-filter between the fish tank and the grow bed will help prevent solid fish waste and other particles from clogging up the growing media, which can cause channeling and result in uneven water distribution. If the media gets too clogged, it must be removed and cleaned. Drill a 1 3/4 inch hole in the center of the bottom of the 1-gallon bucket using the electric drill and hole saw. Insert a 1-inch uniseal in the hole. Lubricate the seal with a silicone lubricant and push the 4-inch long piece of 1-inch pipe through the uniseal until there are 2 inches on the inside and 2 inches on the outside of the bucket. Place a 3-inch net pot upside down over the top of the pipe on the inside of the bucket. This ensures that the foam pad will not cover the opening of the pipe and will allow water to enter through the sides of the net pot as well as the bottom. Push the foam disc into the top of the bucket so that it forms a bowl. Do not push it down onto the top of the upside down 3-inch net pot. Now that the components are all complete, we can finish putting the system together. Make sure that the grow bed is secure atop the fish tank. Put the system where you plan to keep it before adding media to the grow bed or water to the fish tank. Once full of media and water, the system will be very difficult to move. Before adding the media, rinse it with clean water. Ensure that the protective sleeve around the bell siphon is secure and add the media to the grow bed. Fill the grow bed with about 6 inches of gravel or clay balls, leaving about 2 inches to the top of the grow bed edges. Fill the fish tank with water, leaving at least 6 inches from the top of the water to the edge of the tank. This will help prevent fish from jumping out of the tank. Place the pump into the fish tank and thread the hose through the cage and up to the grow bed. Do not run the hose up through the back of the tank. If there's a problem with the plumbing connections or if the hose comes loose, the water will fall onto the ground and not back into the tank. Place the pre-filter on top of the grow media and wedge the pipe on the bottom down into the gravel. Hook the hose from the pump over the side of the pre-filter and secure it with the bucket handle. Turn on the pump and let the water run through the system. To modify the maximum level of water in the grow bed, raise or lower the standpipe. You want the maximum water level to be about 1 inch beneath the top of the gravel to limit algae growth. You can adjust the minimum level of water in the grow bed by changing the length of the air inlet tube on the outside of the bell siphon. It may not be possible to siphon all of the water out of the grow bed, but that is okay. As long as the water level goes up and down 3 to 4 inches, the roots will have access to the oxygen in the air. Add fish and plants and you're on your way.